I don't know what it is about lemons, but people really love them. I was doing some little doodles of flowers using my watercolors, and I made this little pot with some lemons and some flowers. And this mixed with some of the other flowers was just a jumping off point to spark my imagination. And I decided to just do a little lemons, flowers, and a pot kind of watercolor situation, all done freehand and loose. None of this is planned. I'm just having a bit of fun here. So if you want to paint along, go ahead, or maybe you just want to hang out with me here. We're just chilling and painting some cute lemons and some cute flowers, and we're going to put them in a pot and see how we get on. So I'm using mostly Roman Szmal paints here. I've got the lemon yellow underneath, and then I'm adding in what I think is some burnt umber. And you'll see I'm dipping in and out of a Cotman palette into which I've put little Roman Szmal half pan paints once the Cotman ones were done. I have an art supply video talking a bit more about my thought process for how I've organized and reorganized my paints in this little palette. And so with quite a bit of water on this Cotman brush, I think this is around size 10. I'm just going in and just again with the lemon yellow, again with just a little bit of a darker color here on the bottom, because I think that that's where I'm going to give it some shape, give it a bit of shade, maybe leave a little highlight, maybe not. The whole point is I'm just being really free and loose, and I made a little bit of a mistake there, but no matter. I'll just make this lemon a little bit larger. No big deal. And I'll make this lemon a little bit larger too, because now looking at them, I think I want them to be just a little bit chunkier on the page. I think this would be a good spot for a third lemon. And once again, I am not following any kind of strict composition. I'm a pretty beginner, confident beginner watercolorist. So by no means am I really touting this even as a tutorial, although you're welcome to treat it as such. This is not perfect. This was not well planned out. This was just me sitting down to play with my watercolors today because it's like therapy in a way, isn't it? So I'm going to scooch you in, scooch the angle in a little bit closer so you can have a different angle. I think it's fun to change up the angles. Just going to brush in some more here. And this paper is not handling the water super well. This is a Fabriano 1264. I believe it to be a cellulose paper with maybe a little bit of cotton in it. I can tell you it's not 100% cotton because of the way the water just sits on the top, and that's okay. It's great to just practice and not be too precious about it, but I can't say, though, that this is my favorite watercolor paper, but I'm having fun with it no less, and it allows me to just try stuff out like I'm doing here. So let's just zoom back out. We've got 4 lemons, and I'm not sure how I feel about that, but I'm going to carry on with some flowers now. So my tactic for the flowers is to just do these tiny little inside petals that are just kind of just using the tip of my round brush. I'll just put in quite a bit of color. Then I'll just start going and making these sort of semicircles on the outside using increasing amounts of water as I go and just letting the darker pigment bleed into the lighter bits. And then I'm going to take another red. So what I'm trying to say here is I think I'm going to use a bunch of different reds and pinks, warm ones, cool ones, and I'm just going to make these flowers in the sort of red and pink colorway. So same idea here, just using a pretty wet brush with a little bit of water and making it more watery, making these strokes a bit more watery on the outside. And this is Roman Szmal's Cherry Red, I believe. And then the other pink one next to it, the first one that I did, I'm pretty sure is Permanent Rose by Winsor and Newton. It's all mixy-matchy in my palette. I'm going to use, I think this is Scarlet Red or Quinacridone Red by Roman Szmal. And I'm sorry, I don't have these labeled by color. I choose them by looking at them. And sometimes I don't know exactly what the color is, which is how you know this is not a proper tutorial. This is more of a paint along, but it doesn't really matter. Just use a red or pink that's to your liking. I don't really think if you want to paint these, you need to pick the exact same shades as I do. But like I said, what I did like is kind of mixing up, using things that are more pink, using things that are more red. But you do you. Maybe you want to do oranges. Maybe you want to do peach color flowers. So I'm letting the lemon and this flower touch a little bit, and I'm okay with them bleeding in. I am not a perfectionist because these are loose, right? Like these blobs are flowers. So I'm going here in with a fourth one and using magenta. I know that this is magenta from Roman Szmal because it's my favorite. This one I've panned nearly because I like it so much. So if you want really potent magenta color, look no further than this Roman Szmal. Like, look how bright and bold this is when you just drip in tiny little bits more. So 4 lemons, 4 flowers. What will we do next? Let's think here. Hmm. I think I might switch up the brushes and I'm going to go with a smaller round. I only use Cotman Winsor& Newton brushes just because that's what I own and I like these brushes and I haven't wrecked them yet, so they're still going. I think I'm actually going to shade in now with using a little bit of purple. Once again, Roman Szmal. I know I say that name a lot. That is my favorite paint at the moment. And I'm just going to drip in a little bit of purple into the bottoms here to just evoke a bit of shade toward the bottom of the flower. But I mean, I think you can see the perspective is definitely not perfect of these. They're all kind of straight on, and the lemons are kind of on the side, if that makes sense. But who cares? I'm not thinking about this too much. I'm just here to have fun, and hopefully you are too. So, on that note, if you are enjoying it, I would really appreciate it if you would like and consider subscribing to this video. I try and make these chill paint alongs, and I'm having a lot of fun doing it. And one way I always know that you want to see more or that I've done a good job or that you've enjoyed it is if you just simply like and subscribe. That is a great boost of confidence for me. But not only that, also lets me know that you maybe want more like this if you think it's good or you're having fun here with me. So I'm dipping into the turquoise using the smaller Winsor& Newton round brush, and I'm going to make a pot, I guess, for it. And I like this turquoise. Once again, Roman Szmal. I'm picking only the colors I like, and they're all the Roman Szmal ones I'm noticing. I always do this. I really like his stuff. He's a Polish paintmaker. Um, a small business, not the easiest to find. It's only sold at Gwartzman's, and I think Jackson's carries it too. If I remember to do so, I'll add some links to Jackson's if you want to purchase from there. And if you're in Canada, shop from Gwartzman's, which is an amazing small business art supply store that has been around since I was a kid in Chinatown. But and they've got a good online website. They ship all over Canada, as far as I know. So I am just filling this in and kind of considering maybe now if I'm going to leave a highlight on this, what I'm going to do, but I'm mostly just dipping into water and pulling out that little bit of turquoise that I laid down. I really did not use much, but look how far it's stretched. This is a really potent, strong color. Just touching up these edges a little bit. Nothing is too perfect though. Once again, like I said, it's all meant to be quite loose. And I'm kind of liking the overall shape of this. I'm not sure what I'll do next. I've got to think about it a little bit. Sometimes I like to just step back and give it a little bit of thought. So I'm going to go in now and put in some stems. And this is the part that makes me nervous. I don't know if you guys paint flowers and botanicals and you feel this too, but stems make me nervous. Leaves make me nervous. I'm not that good at them despite having painted, honestly, maybe 600 leaves at this point in my watercolor career and maybe, 200 stems or something like that. Something about them, I don't know. Oops, let me fix this again. Slid down because I have it up on a weird angle. Just changing the view a tiny bit. Something about painting these, it makes me nervous. I don't know if I'm the only one. I don't think I am. I have heard people mention leaves in particular kind of gets to them a little bit. So watercolor is supposed to be relaxing, but sometimes you stress yourself out too much trying to get things to be perfect. I don't know what it is. Like lemons cause me no trouble at all, but as soon as I'm doing these stalks and throwing some leaves in there, I'm like doubting myself the whole time, basically. So using Hooker's Green by Roman Szmal, that's what I used for the stems. and dipping in a little bit of olive green also by Roman Szmal. I should just only say when I'm not using a Roman Szmal paint at this point. It's frankly getting ridiculous. All of them are Roman Szmal, basically, with a few exceptions here. So drawing out some leaves and really trying to use the very tippy top of my brush. And yeah, these leaves are making me nervous, and I am kind of second guessing it. Maybe I should not have put anything here at all, but away we go. And notice, of course, that these stems don't really correspond that well to how any lemon would, I think, naturally grow. But once again, we're having fun. This is kind of loose, kind of almost verging into the abstract, really. Um, and this is kind of just like a relaxing play session. This is not obviously going to be like a highly finished piece. You know what? I'm going to stop making excuses for like how this is turning out, because it's actually turning out pretty cute. I shouldn't be so hard on myself. Um, I think that if it's quirky, that's probably part of the fun of the whole thing, right? So this is olive green by Roman Szmal, another great color. So his hooker's green is great. The olive green is great. Less impressive, and I'm avoiding sap green, although I might punch into that a little bit. The sap green is the one that's hardly used. You can see it in my white Winsor Newton palette there. I don't use it all that much. His sap green actually is, yeah, I'm grabbing a little bit there, but I'm mixing with olive green. It's not that good. I don't like it. It has a real neon brightness that to me doesn't actually look that natural. So whenever I do pick up sap green, I have to mix it in with other stuff. But anyway, enough complaints about sap green. That's not what you're here for. I'm kind of liking how this is coming along. And despite my being nervous about leaves, I think that these are fine. And you know what? If I don't like them, who cares? This is always a learning opportunity. And every time you paint is a learning opportunity, right? So I hope that you're appreciating that this is in real time. I didn't want to speed anything up. I just wanted to go through the entire process together. And of course, you're just going to hit like fast forward or something, or maybe forward to the end if this is getting too slow and too boring for you. But I know personally from watching a lot of tutorials, I don't love it when they speed through a lot of parts and then I missed it if I want to recreate the look. And another tip is that sometimes I fast forward to the end and then I scrub way, 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 way back to the beginning, because I want to see what the end piece looks like, because sometimes I have no idea where the painting is going when I'm like painting along with a tutorial. Um, and I kind of like to get my bearings around the page first, if that makes sense. Like sometimes someone's painting a loose flower and I have literally no idea where the painting is going. I have no idea even if the flower is like being painted from the side or from the top. So I like to like fast forward a lot and then rewind a lot. Do people even say fast forward and rewind? I feel like I'm dating myself as a relic or something like that by saying that. So I did feel, as you will have noticed, obviously, that this just needed more. I just needed more of everything. You know, I added another lemon, shaded that lemon. I'm going to go in with some more flowers and just really boost the amount of things on this page. It's just too bare for my liking. So once again, with this little technique, same technique as before, just dipping into reds and pinks and using the very tip of my brush and then thickening it out, getting some water, adding some more paint, and I'm just doing it in a really loose, flowy, and intuitive way. I am not using any kind of like sequence of like dip the paint, add it, add a tiny bit of water, remove a little bit. I'm just like going with the flow. I'm kind of not thinking. My brain is kind of turned off in terms of what I'm painting. I'm just really feeling at one with the paint and the water. I don't know if that makes sense or if you experienced that before, but zoning out basically and just getting into the paint. That's what I'm doing. So I picked up some sap green and you'll see immediately how much brighter that is. And I'm okay with that. But I am dipping back into the olive green again. And I'm going to add another flower over here. I'm no great master of composition or balance or anything like that. Once again, I'm just kind of zoning out and kind of just flowing with the paint and letting the paint almost guide me. I like this so far. I like how the lemon looks, and I like these different red tones. But what I think I want to do is add more value, make these darker. And as they're drying, the ones that I've painted already, they're getting lighter as well. I'm going to go in with Permanent Rose here. That is a Winsor & Newton paint, and it's one of their best colors, by the way. They're Permanent Rose and they're Sap Green. Beautiful, beautiful. And I'm going to just add another one using another shade of, actually, this is the magenta. So I dipped back into the magenta and I'm going to paint over. And the one underneath is sufficiently dry. It's like not as dry as it should be, but it's sufficiently dry to paint over it again. And I'm making these a little smaller because I think that that's just what's needed. Just keeping the strokes light, grabbing a bit more paint. And again, trying to add value, add punch here, add more depth of color. This is looking pretty. I really like it for something that I never really thought about. Just decided to grab my brushes, my paper, my paint, and get going. And sometimes those are the best surprises of all. Sometimes when I think about it too hard, they actually don't turn out as well. At some point, though, I will have to stop because I will go overboard. Left to my druthers, I would probably fill this entire page, and maybe I will one of these days because I think that that is actually appealing too. Like, I do love it. I do like white, but I do also love a really maximalist painting where you've gone straight to the edges with something and sometimes over the edges. Like, obviously, I'm not physically painting over the edges, but I'm painting up to the edge as if the flower is off the page. Um, but I'm not going to do that today. Now that these are sufficiently dry, I'm going to pop in some red, I believe this to be Quinacridone Red, that I'm just touching in here and just emphasizing those petals that are in the inside that are darker. At least in theory, because obviously this is completely abstract. This is not drawn from a reference photo or anything. This is just my mind making this up as I go along. And I'm going to touch back in here with some turquoise, see if I can shape this a little bit more because it's looking a little unidimensional, one-dimensional, and that's fine. But I'm just going to see if I can add some shape back here to make it look a bit more realistic, although this is not that realistic. So I'm trying to pick up some Dyke Brown, and this Dyke Brown, and I don't know a lot about Dyke Brown. This one does not have a lot of oomph. It doesn't have a lot of pigment that's easy to rehydrate. And I don't have a tube of this. This was just, I bought it in the half pan. So I don't know if the tube of Roman Szmal, because he doesn't make tubes. He just makes pans. And I don't know if the tube would be easier, but I love this color and I'm always trying to like use it, but I always also forget that I need to add a lot more water than I usually do. So you'll see me struggling here. So as I lay this down, it's not okay. On one hand, it's nice because it's transparent, right? So you can still see the turquoise underneath. But on the other hand, I'm kind of on the struggle bus. I wish this laid down a lot darker than it is. But no less, we'll just work this Dyke Brown out a little bit with my brush. I don't know how effective this shadow is looking, but I guess it's better than nothing. It's such a nice color, though. I just wish it just hydrated more easily. So add a little bit of shade down here. Let's see what next. No, I actually think that's it. I don't think I'm going to add anything else. I really am liking how this turned out, and I hope you do too. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.